Welcome everyone to this recess meeting of the January 18, 2018 Will County Board meeting. Call this meeting to order. If everyone would please stand and remain standing, that County Board Member Gretchen Fritz will lead us in the pledge this morning and then introduce the clergy. Ms. Fritz.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our invocation today will be given by Reverend Craig Jenkins from Fellowship Chapel of the Christian and Missionary Alliance in Bolingbrook. CJ has been preaching at Fellowship Chapel for almost 11 years. Fellowship Chapel was started in 1978 in Bolingbrook and continues as a diverse evangelical faith community. The Christian and Missionary Alliance was founded in 1887 by a group of people who wanted to support international missions financially and with prayer. Today, the Christian and Missionary Alliance has over 6 million adherents in 70 countries.
Thank you, Gretchen. Well, thanks for having me back. It's always good to be invited back again. My first time here, you told me just to pray and not preach, so I listen. But being that it's January, I imagine that quite a few of you have made New Year's resolutions. So I was thinking of that, and I wanted to pray about our resolutions, our commitments. And before I pray, I actually want to ask you two questions. First being, what is your New Year's resolution, if you've made one? Mine is to stop complaining. And the second question is, if you've made a resolution, have you broken it yet? Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 4 says, when you make a vow to God, do not delay to fulfill it. He has no pleasure in fools, so fulfill your vow. For it is better not to make a vow than to make one and not fulfill it. Let's pray. Lord God, thank you for the opportunity to begin again, to start a year fresh, to make vows and resolutions, to have a desire to be, as we often say, better, at least in one area. As we consider the commitments, as we consider our resolutions, as we consider our vows, give us the strength, Lord God, to hold fast to those vows, to be men and women and young people who commit, even when that commitment is painful or requires sacrifice. Help us to be people of our word. Help us, God, also as we try to help other people, try to reach out to the less fortunate, to those in need, to be givers, to be people who are not just focused on our own needs, just focused on our own desires, or just focused on our own wants, but who actually care for the betterment of those around us, those in our community, those who need that helping hand. And I pray for all in attendance here, God, you would keep us safe and warm. You would bless us and protect us and guide us with the decisions and announcements and even the awards that are being presented today. Help us to be blessed, and as we move forward in January and throughout the year 2018, to be a blessing to others. We pray this all in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
There she is. Turkey's there.
Ready, Nancy?
Yep.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Mayor? Here. Brooks? Here. Ogalla? Here. Summers? Here. Singer? Here. Moran? Present. Rice? Here. Harris? Here. Trainier? Here. Benefield? Here. Fritz? Present. Gould? Here. Militello? Here. Balich? Here. Frizzalone? Here. Winfrey? Here. Parker? Here. Staley Ferry? Here. Dollinger. Markham. Hart. Tumanello. Weigel. Ferry. Coditis. And Mustis.
Mr.
25
Mitchell.
present, 1 absent.
I see.
25 present, a quorum is present. Motion to place on file the certificate of publication. Mr. Markham, second by Ms. Trainier.
Mayor. Mayor. Brooks. Ogala. Summers. Singer. Moran. Rice. Rice, thank you. Harris. Trainier. Benefield. Fritz. Gould. Militello. Balich. Brizalone. Winfrey. Parker. Staley Ferry. Dollinger. Markham. Tumanello. Weigel. Ferry. Coditis. And Mustis. Thank you.
25 affirmative.
Motion has carried. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the recess meeting of December 21, 2017. Motion by Mr. Ferry, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried. Madam Clerk, would you please acknowledge elected officials and the media that are here this morning?
Sure. Our County Clerk Nancy Schultz Foods, County Executive Larry Walsh, Recorder of Deeds Karen Stuckel, our State's Attorney James Glasgow, and we also have Jennifer Patino-Tarrant in the audience, our 49th state legislator. And we have the media, Farmers Weekly Review Nick Ryer, Southtown Susan Lafferty, and with Times Weekly Brock Stein. Welcome.
Okay. First up is honorary resolution and proclamations. If County Board Member Darren Benefield will please come forward to the podium. A check presentation by the Joliet Elks to the Problem Solving Courts Program. And if we could have Julie McCabe-Sturb and State's Attorney Jim Glasgow, but both they're present too.
Okay. Good morning, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to the Elks for their continued support. The Elks Lodge has been supporting us here at the county for many years, and we appreciate that. And I think we do have a proclamation for them today. And oh, check presentation. Okay.
That's better.
And so that's better. Jeff, I guess you're going to come on up.
Sure.
Thanks,
Darren. All right, thank you. We'll come back for a proclamation, that's fine.
We'll get you one, Jeff.
All right, thank you. Executive Walsh, Speaker Mustis, Minority Leader Brooks. Elk Lodges bring so much more to their communities than just a building, a golf course, or a pool. They're places where neighbors come together, families share meals, and children grow up. But Elks also invest in their communities through programs that help children grow up healthy and drug-free, and by undertaking projects that address unmet need. The Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks National Drug Awareness Program is the largest volunteer program in the United States. The mission of the Drug Awareness Program is to promote constructive and cooperative approaches to the prevention and use of illicit substances by the youth of the United States of America. This is accomplished through the education of students and parents and by assisting prevention initiatives with programs and materials. Now, with this mission in mind, the Joliet Elks Lodge continues to partner with the Will County State's Attorney's Office in support of their drug program. And in fact, since 2004, we have annually donated and contributed to their program in excess over $10,000. We believe in the success of the county's program and feel that we can best serve our mission by including those that wish to rid themselves of addiction, as well as to continue to promote the dangers of drug use. So, on behalf of Joliet Lodge 296, David Schultz, our exalted ruler, would like to present a check to State's Attorney Glasgow in the amount of $1,000.
Good morning. The mission of the Elks Drug Awareness Program is to promote constructive and cooperative approaches to the prevention and the use of illicit substances by the use of youth in the United States. We will accomplish through the education of the students and the parents and by assisting scholastic institutions where the program and the materials are needed. I'd like to thank you all for letting us be here and to present this check to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Obviously, the drug problem has reached a new level with our lawsuit against Big Pharma. The county has taken the step to do that, and I think it's very important because I remember some cases that we've had in our office where if you go at a problem aggressively, you get results that you never expected, and it's going to be a tough road to hoe on the legal issues, but you create enough turmoil for them, and they'll come to the table, and they'll start to realize that they're getting so much bad PR that flooding the market with these poisonous drugs, which that's what they are. OxyContin in 2007, Purdue Pharmaceuticals was fined $630 million for deliberately withholding the studies that they did that showed how addictive it is. And I can't tell you, Julie could tell you, how many of our young people get addicted to OxyContin and then go buy heroin. So it is a cancer. They paid that $630 million like it was a parking ticket. So what's driving this? Money, greed, and it's killing our children. So I think that all the different government agencies across the country are bringing suits, and it's going to have an effect, and it's important that we be part of that. Just one last thing. This lady right here runs the specialty courts, and she mentioned something about retirement. I said, no, that wasn't in the deal, okay? She does a fabulous job. She has the passion, she has the instincts like no one I've ever seen, and she's tireless. It's 24/7, and so all the things that we've accomplished are a tribute to Julie McCabe-Sturr. So if we could just give her a round of applause. She doesn't get enough credit. And thanks to the Elks. Julie, you want to say a word?
So when the Elks started donating in 2004, this is, by the way, my husband, Jeff Sturr, the district deputy to the Grand Exalted Ruler. We had 48 people in drug court. Today we have 4 problem-solving courts. As of today, we have 217 people in those problem-solving courts. We are in the final stages of putting together a 501c3, the Friends of the Problem-Solving Courts, and we continue to expand our programming past substance abuse, past mental health treatment, but into trying to raise their level of moral reasoning, to address their trauma issues. And it's only with the generous support of private donors like the Elks that we are able to expand that programming. So thank you.
Next up, recognizing the Troy 7th grade girls basketball team state championship will be presented by Don Gould, County Board member Don Gould. Nancy, why don't you come down from your Shorewood girl?
We got some Joliet in there too.
Yeah.
Troy. Yeah. Thanks, Larry. Good morning, everyone. Can we have the team come down and coaches? She's wondering how she's going to get all the kids in the picture.
You got the name, Coach
Mark Peter and Serena Cruz. I got it in here in the middle of it. Yeah. Hmm? Yeah. Look at that trophy. Wow.
Hey,
Check that out. Bring that up here. Come on. Come on.
come on up here.
Yeah, we want to get a picture of that.
That's nice.
That's awesome. Thank you for bringing that. That is really cool.
Funny. Okay, well,
Where's our coaches?
there's the coach.
There, coach, come on over here. Mark. Don Gould. Serena? These kids are taller than me. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But you bet. But anyway, I just wanted.
We're short. I need a step stool.
But before we get started, I just want to also not only to congratulate the 7th grade team on their championship, but I want to congratulate the 8th grade team who finished second in the state and had a great season. So, congratulations to both teams. Troy is very proud of you. This proclamation is honoring the 7th grade girls team. And whereas it is the intent of the Will County Board and the Will County Executive to recognize outstanding achievements of individuals and organizations in Will County, whereas the Troy Junior High School 7th grade girls basketball team were the IESA Conference, Regional, Sectional Class champions, qualifying them to compete in the state championships where they defeated Effingham in the quarterfinals 53-19. Wow. East Peoria Central 51-27 and defeated East St. Louis Lincoln in the finals 43-39 to become state champions. And whereas that marked the first time a Troy team in an elimination tournament had reached the IESA championship game and the first Northern Illinois school since the late 70s and the early 80s to win a girls' state basketball title and only the second 28-0 state champion in Class 4A. These girls are undefeated. And whereas the Troy 7th grade girls basketball team had a 28-0 overall record, they were 14-0 in their conference and were also DuPage Valley Conference and Marion Catholic tournament champions. And whereas the winning season can be attributed not only to the commitment of head coach Mark Peter, assistant coach Serena Cruz, the parents, the fans, for their determination and team spirit of the members of the basketball team. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive hereby honor Troy Junior High School 7th grade girls basketball team for their first IESA 4A state basketball championship. Be it further resolved that head coach Peter and assistant coach Cruz and all the members of the Troy Junior High School 7th grade girls basketball team be commended for this outstanding accomplishment. Signed by County Executive Larry Walsh and Will County Clerk Nancy Schultz-Voots. So moved.
Second by Ms. Melatello. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, congratulations.
Larry's got that proclamation for your school. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys, the Will County Board, for having us out. Obviously, needless to say, a 28-0 season is a pretty special thing. 8th grade, 21-7, second in state, is also a pretty special thing. I think the unique aspect, at least from a Will County standpoint, that what we were able to accomplish was Brooks Middle School in Bolingbrook. It was the first time a Northern Illinois school has ever hosted the state tournament. Obviously, happens to be a Will County school. So hopefully we did you guys proud, not only representing Will County, but doing it in Will County as well. I think that made it special. Certainly made it special with the number of people that were able to come out and support us along the way. And again, special in an area that's as rich in basketball tradition as we are in the Joliet area. it was pretty awesome. These girls are a special group, 8th grade through 7th grade. I hope we're coming back and doing this again next year. That's the plan. So thank you, guys.
Two pictures, one with the 7th grade and one with the 8th grade, so maybe we get everybody in each group.
Okay. Yeah, I can go where I'm. That's fine.
Put you on a platform, three of us could stand on a box.
We're so short. Pardon me?
We need to stand on a box.
I'm on my toes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more, Nancy.
Oh, one more.
You're gonna do the other class. You're gonna do the next class. Did you see the trophy?
Yeah, nice.
Isn't that awesome? That's a big trophy. That's, that was this trophy my son got for baseball. So it's a nice trophy.
Congratulations. Congratulations again. Congratulations.
All resolutions approved at the December 21, 2017 County Board meeting have been signed by the County Executive. Moving on, our first committee, Land Use and Development Committee, Mr. Weigel, Chairman.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Tom.
I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing for land use cases.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Frizzalone. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Mayor? Brooks? Ogala? Summers? Singer? Moran? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Gould? Militello? Balich? Frizzalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Dollinger? Markham? Tumanello? Weigel?
Yes.
Ferry? Carlitis? And Mustis. Thank you.
24 affirmative.
24 affirmative. We are in public hearing. Please be advised, absolutely no new evidence or information will be allowed once this land use public hearing is closed. We have one case to be heard today, case ZC-17-036. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment on this case? Anyone from the public wishing to make comments? Anyone from the public? Mr. Weigel.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion made by Mr. Weigel, seconded by Mr. Balich. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sure. Mayor? Brooks? Ogala? Summers? Singer? Moran? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Benefield? Fritz? Gould. Militello. Balich. Frizalone. Winfrey. Parker. Staley Ferry. Dollinger. Markham. Tumanello. Weigel.
Yes.
Ferry. Corlettis. And Mustis. Thank you.
24 affirmative.
24 affirmative. We are out of public hearing.
Okay, our first case is ZC 17036. This is for a special use permit for a major utility solar farm. This is in Crete Township. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any discussion? Any discussion? Yes, Ms. Ogala.
Good morning, thank you. I wanted to just say a couple things. I wanted to say, since this is the first solar farm that Will County is seeing, I think that we've done a pretty detailed effort at looking into the project as a whole. I think the company has done a good job at being very very good at providing information. They had the consultants meet with the board members out there and have a good detail of it. They had presentations to the public, which was really good. So I think, I hope that any other solar farms that come in, hopefully they'll be as easy to work with as Cypress Creek is. And then in addition to that, there's so many different things to think about. We haven't done this before. And so I'm going to make a motion to amend one of the conditions, one of the 16 conditions. That's condition number 5. My motion is going to be replaced, instead of one large shrub per 20 feet, I'm going to make a motion to say one 4 to 5 foot evergreen tree every 30 feet.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Motion and second has been made. Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion to amend? Motion to approve by Mr. Markham. Our previous roll call by Mr. Markham, second by Ms. Summers. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried. The amendment has been approved.
I'd like to make a motion then to move this land use case forward as amended.
Before that, Debbie, you wish to be included in the roll call?
Thank you.
Okay. Judy, I didn't hear.
Oh, that's okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the special use permit as amended.
As amended. Second by Mr. Tumanello. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Trainier, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one resolution amending Chapter 155 of the Will County zoning ordinance. This is a project that we've been working on for several months, making several amendments. We've gone through it very thoroughly. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Ms. Dollinger. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Next resolution is a correction of a Scribner's error on case 6261-MS. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Ms. Ogala. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Tumanello, second by Mr. Balich. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Our next meeting will be February 13th. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Tom. Next up is the Finance Committee. Mr. Frizalone, Chairman.
Good morning, Will County. First up, we have some reports to place on file. We have the Illinois Department of Revenue showing sales tax remitted to Will County for the month of October 2017 to be $1,670,209.33, and the RTA tax received is $1,969,000. $1,879.01 for a total of $3,640,088.34. We also have the monthly treasurer report dated November 30th, 2017 from the Will County Treasurer Steve Weber. I'd like to place these reports on file, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, seconded by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Next up, we have designating PNC Financial Services Group as a county depository, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Ms. Parker. Any question? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
And we have 18-4 authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents for delinquent tax program, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Singer. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Staley Ferry and second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
So all the business I have this month. Our next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for February 6th at 10 a.m. That's about a week before spring training. See you all then.
Thank you, Mike. Next up is our Public Works Transportation Committee. Mr. Gould, Chairman. Good morning, Don.
Good morning, fellow members of the County Board. I have no resolutions to place on file this morning. However, we have several resolutions. First resolution is 18-5, authorizing approval of professional services agreement for architectural and engineering services at the Will County Department of Transportation Arsenal Maintenance Facility. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Melatello. Any questions? Any question? Previous roll by Mr. Ferry, second by Ms. Summers. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 18-6, authorizing the appropriation of MFT funds for architectural engineering services by the county for work at the Will County Division of Transportation Arsenal Maintenance Facility. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Melatello, Tumanello. Yeah. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 18-7, confirming an award of contract for various contractors led on December 20th, 2017. Countywide maintenance material, bituminous patching in all county board districts. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Moran, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 18-8, confirming an award of contract to various contractors led on December 20th, 2017. Countywide maintenance material, bituminous prime in all county board districts. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Fritz. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 18-9, confirming an award of contract to various contractors led on December 20th, 2017. Countywide maintenance material, various aggregate in all county board districts. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Trainier. Any question? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Rice, second by Mr. Singer. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
18-10, adopting an IDOT resolution for improvement by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for countywide maintenance material in all county board districts using MFT funds. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Balich. Any question? Any question? Previous roll by Mr. Mayor, second by Mr. Brooks. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
18-11, approving an award of professional services agreement for right-of-way acquisition services negotiations with Swanson and Brown Limited for several parcels of property at the intersections of Francis Road and Parker Road, County Board District 12. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any question? Second by Ms. Ogala. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, anybody opposed? Motion is carried.
Resolution 18-12, authorizing the appropriation of MFT funds for right-of-way acquisition services negotiations by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for several parcels of property at the intersection of Francis Road and Parker Road, County Board District 12. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Ogala. Any question? Previous roll by Ms. Fritz, second by Mr. Benefield. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 18-13, authorizing approval of professional services agreement for right-of-way acquisition services appraisals with Hampton, Lenzini, and Renwick for several parcels of property at the intersection of Francis Road and Parker Road, County Board District 12. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. Previous roll by Ms. Rice, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 18-14, authorizing approval of MFT funds for right-of-way acquisition services appraisals by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for several parcels of property at the intersection of Francis Road and Parker Road, County Board District 12. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Ogala, second by Ms. Dollinger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 18-15, authorizing an agreement between the County of Will and AT&T for reimbursement for relocating facilities along Weber Road from 135th Street to Normantown Road in County Board Districts 3 and 13, using the county's allotment of county RTA funds. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould.
Yep.
Second by Mr. Ferry. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Mr. Markham. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 18-16, authorizing approval of professional services agreement with H.R. Green for Phase 2 Consultant Program Coordinator for Build Will Program. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Mantello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 18-17, an improvement by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for 135th Street, County Board Districts 3 and 7, using county matching tax funds. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Balich. Any question? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Ferry, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Our next meeting is February the 6th at 9 o'clock. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you very much, Larry.
Next up, Judicial Committee, Mr. Benefield, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning,
Good
Darren.
morning, Will County Board. We have nothing to vote on today, but I just wanted to take an opportunity to inform everyone that something that recently arrived before this board. Today we had the Elks Lodge once again come in and present us with a check supporting drug awareness. And, you know, we thank the Elks Lodge for that commitment and that continued support. And though it's important to continue to provide support for preventative measures, you know, there's another side to this issue, and it's called recovery. And recovery can be a very challenging thing for many individuals. And during that recovery process, it requires the same level of commitment and support. And so earlier this month, we were informed of an excellent opportunity for the Family Guidance Center, with whom we partner with the judiciary, providing Vivitrol and assessments for those that require it at the county jail. And Ron Velocity and Judge Carla stood before us and presented us with an opportunity that the Family Guidance Center has to be the recipient of a $2.1 million grant that specifically targets post-disposition and recovery for those that require assistance. One of the things that we were told is that unlike many grants, this particular grant actually requires that you spend 30% of the grant on housing to assist these individuals in the recovery process. And so this would be an excellent opportunity if we can be approved for this. What they presented before us at the executive committee was just at this point to ask for us to sign a letter that we work with Family Guidance Center and that we're in support of that. So I just wanted to take just a moment, just read you the first paragraph to give you a little understanding of what we've put together. And it says this: the Will County Board fully supports the initiatives by our Will County judges, state's attorney, and staff members associated with the Will County Problem-Solving Courts, as they have made tremendous strides in our justice system and with residents and families of Will County. Unfortunately, Will County continues to see a rise in drug-related offenses, and even more alarming, a rise in deaths from opioid overdoses. This is not just a problem, this is a crisis. The Will County Board has a duty to represent the residents that elected them into office, and there is no better way than to save lives as we continue to work with family guidance centers and our judiciary. And this is just a little, one paragraph that we've put together to provide Ron Velocity to submit for approval. And so I just wanted to take this opportunity to inform this board that we've got a great opportunity to continue to work to provide assistance for those that need help. And this one is specifically in a position, in a post-disposition area where we do not have much assistance right now. So I just wanted to conclude by saying it's important that we support this. Let's keep our eyes open on this. We're very optimistic about being approved for this grant. And as we continue, I'll be happy to report back to this board. So thank you very much, Mr. Executive.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you very much. Next up, Public Health and Safety Committee. Ms. Ogalla, Chairperson.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judy.
I have 3 resolutions today. First resolution is 18-18, renewing contract for therapy services at Sunny Hill Nursing Home, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Ogalla, second by Ms. Militello. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next resolution is 18-19, awarding bid for pharmaceutical services at Sunny Hill Nursing Home, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Ogalla, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Lauren Staley-Perry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
And the final resolution is 18-20, increasing private pay rates for Sunny Hill Nursing Home, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Ogalla, second by Ms. Dollinger. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Ballage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
The next Public Health and Safety Committee meeting is scheduled for February 1st at 9 a.m. Hope to see you there, and thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Next up is Legislative and Policy Committee. Ms. Hart, Chairperson. Right, Mr. Tumanello.
Thank you. There's nothing to be voted on today. We continue to forge ahead with our federal priorities, legislative priorities with the committee as well as the executive's office, so we'll be able to bring that back in the months to come. Our next meeting is scheduled for February 13th at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Ray. Next up is Capital Improvements Committee. Mr. Tumanello, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive, County
Morning.
Board. We have a couple items that are pretty exciting on our Capital Improvements Committee. First one is 18-21, authorizing the Will County Executive to execute Amendment Number 3 to the current professional services agreement with White & Company for completion of the master plan update, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Militello, or Mr. Tumanello, and second by Mr. Benefield. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Next on our agenda is 18-22, authorizing the Will County Executive to execute Amendment Number 4 to the White & Company contract for design services necessary for a new animal control facility, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Dumanello, second by Ms. Fritz. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried.
Thank you. As you know, we did cancel the ribbon cutting out at the sheriff's station earlier this week. We will be getting together with the sheriff in the coming weeks and announce a new date for the ribbon cutting. We wish him and his family the best, and we ask that you keep Sheriff Kelly's wife in your prayers. And our next Capital Improvements Committee meeting is scheduled for February 6th at 11 a.m. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray. Next up is Executive Committee, Mr. Mustis, Chairperson, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive
Good
and
morning.
County Board.
Good morning, Jim.
Happy New Year, everyone. It's the first meeting of the year, and I look forward to a productive year as we've had in the past year. My first item today is item 1823, authorizing amendment to the retiree health insurance trust agreement, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Markham, second by Ms. Summers. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, I have 1824, declaring vehicles surplus and authorizing disposal, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Balich, second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have 1825, declaring sheriff seized vehicle surplus and authorizing disposal, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Frizzalone. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Brooks, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
1826, renewing contract for electronic recycling, permanent drop-off on one-day events, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Fritz. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Ms. Ogala. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, I have 1827, renewing contract for electronic recycling, turnkey collections. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Singer. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Moran, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
The next five items are intergovernmental agreements with various agencies for the radio access to the county's countywide radio access system. So I'll probably read the full one on the first one, then I'll make shortcut a little bit on the other ones as I read them. 1828, authorizing an IGA with the village of Romeoville for access to the radio system. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any question? Previous roll by Mr. Moran, second by Ms. Summers. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
1829, IGA with the village of Rockdale. I'll move for approval.
Mr. Mustis makes a motion, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Trainier, second by Mr. Markham. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
IGA with the village of Frankfurt. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Weigel. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Ms. Melatello. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
IGA with the village of Homer Glen. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Previous roll call by Ms. Dollinger, Second by Mr. Tumanello. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
1832, authorizing IJ with Joliet Junior College. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, seconded by Mr. Brooks. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Mayor, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
The next six items are also intergovernmental agreements for mobility management project. So I'll read the first one in total, then I'll start to go through the other ones, which is what other entities. So first we have 1833, authorizing an IGA with the Creek Township for the mobility management project, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Ogala, second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
1834, authorizing an IGA with Frankfurt Township. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Singer, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
1835, authorizing an IGA with Monee Township. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Berry, Ms. Summers, I'm sorry. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Markham, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
1836, IGA with Peatone Township. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Moran. Any questions? Previous roll call by Ms. Dollinger, seconded by Mr. Ballage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
1837, authorizing IGA with Washington Township. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Ogala, second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
1838, authorizing IGA with Will Township. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Ogala, second by Mr. Benefield. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, I have 1839, a resolution of intent to abate certain property taxes for Silvestri Paving Company, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
1840, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Joliet for land swap and opening up of Chicago Street near the courthouse and other matters, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Second, move previous roll call. Mr. Tumanello.
Thank you. As we've been working on this for the last few years, I would believe in the Capital Committee. I know Reagan had worked on it as chair before and we've been working on it diligently. I did want to just thank everybody for their hard work on this. You know, from the executive's office, I know, Nick, you've been working diligently on it. Reagan Freitag, I know, with the county board's office. Our state's attorney was involved every step of the way, and everybody in committee that we continued to pound on this thing. The city of Joliet, working with them, and Mayor Odekirk, the new village administrator, Marty Shanahan. A lot of people had a lot of time and efforts put into this. You know, when both sides of the agreement, with the city of Joliet and the county of Will, are both excited to get it done and excited to execute the contract, you know it's a good contract, and it's a win-win for both the county as well as the city as well. I believe this is a step in the right direction for opening up the downtown area, as do most of you. At the Joliet meeting the other night, I know, Larry, you were in attendance. Ms. Winfrey was in attendance, and, you know, we heard the excitement in their voice as they passed it, and one of the comments that they made was a couple of their constituents said that this deal would never get done. Well, I got news for you. Today, this deal is going to get done. So I really appreciate everyone's hard work and effort on this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Ray. So we got a motion and a second, right?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Mr. Brooks, you want to make a statement?
Yes, may I?
Yeah. Mr. Brooks?
Thank you. I was going to wait till my comment period to comment on that, but Ray, I think those are excellent remarks. We've certainly been working on that for a very long time. When I moved to Joliet in the late 50s, and I started driving, we used to race our cars down Chicago Street. And I got angry when I couldn't do it no more. So I'm glad we finally came to that. Jim Glasgow, I won't be racing. My car won't go that fast anymore. But I'm so glad that we finally came to that agreement. The last couple of years been working on that. It's in my district once again, and I'm just so very happy. Thank you all for voting to move that. Thank you, sir.
Any other comments? Any other comments? Motion, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I would. Thank you, Mr. Executive. I agree with Herb and with my colleague Ray in regards that this is a monumental day here to getting this done here in Joliet. You know, I was part of the group 16 years ago that we were looking at, do we even want to stay in downtown Joliet? Do we want to go and move out, have a green space, an opportunity, because we weren't getting a whole lot of support back then. And I think there's been a huge change both in the boards and the leadership within the city of Joliet, as well as here on the county board. And I think it makes sense for the county to stay. We're going to put in a brand new courthouse that's going to be a centerpiece for a downtown area. And if you look around at most of the communities like this that are county seats, the courthouse is the center, and things get built up around it. And I think this provides us an opportunity to continue the growth and development of the Joliet area and the kind of the rebirth and continued growth of Will County. So I want to just thank everybody that's put in all their hard work and energy on this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Ms. Winfrey?
Thank you, Mr. Executive. And I just want to say, going back to Mayor Girani and City Manager Hawk, thanks to them for agreeing to partner with us. We had several meetings one-on-one agreeing about how we'd go forward. And now Mayor Oderkirk and City Manager Hales for their support and their efforts and for agreeing to be involved with the Capital Improvements Committee and for helping us work as a city and a county together to move Joliet forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Motion by Ms. Rice, second by Mr. Brooks for previous roll call. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have 1841, authorizing agreement with One Oak in the county of Will. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Gould. Previous roll by Mr. Mayor, second by Mr. Brooks. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have 1842, replacement hires for the county executive. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Brooks. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Harris, second by Ms. Summers. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
The next executive committee meeting will be scheduled for February 1st at 10 a.m. Next, I have the appointments of the county executive, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Brooks. Any
Previous.
questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Trenier. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
That concludes my report, Mr. Executive.
Thank you, Jim. Next up is public comment. We have nobody signed on. Anyone from the public wish to make a comment at this time? Anyone from the public?
Everybody with their hand up.
And anyone from the public? Any county board member who wants to make a comment at this time? Mr. Weigel.
I'd like to congratulate Kurt Paddock on his retirement after several years of service with Will County as the Director of the Land Use Department. He has done a great job for us. I appreciate his dedication in helping the Land Use Committee and the residents of Will County, and I'd like to wish him well in his retirement. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Any other comments from county board members? Any other? Seeing none, I will move on to the majority leader, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. And county board members, we have a little extra time, so if anybody wants to talk. I mean, it's not even 10:45 yet. I don't know what we did here. Oh, it must be January. You have somewhere to go? We're keeping you from someplace? Sorry. Oh, there you go. But I want to wish everybody a happy new year. And as Ray had said, our thoughts and prayers are with Sheriff Kelly and his family. This is a very trying time for that family, so please remember them in your thoughts and prayers. Seeing all those young ladies come up in front of our board here today, the 7th and 8th graders, this Troy girls basketball team, you know, it's important that our young folks know that winning is important. And winning doesn't happen by just participating. Winning happens by going the extra mile, being ready to be dedicated, to work hard, to do the kind of things it takes to be number one. And I think that just goes to show you the kind of stuff that our board has done this past month. And I want to say thank you to all the hard work for our committees that going on this month, from the review of the ordinances and land use to all the infrastructure and road projects and capital projects that we have going on. But not just that, but to all the social projects. I mean, we're not just about building roads, we're about being and making sure that our communities are safe for our young people and their families. And so I want to thank the judiciary and all the work that they've done with the state's attorneys and with our committees to make sure that we are providing a safe environment here in Will County. And with that, I want to say, again, Happy New Year, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next up, our minority leader, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Executive, and still good morning to everyone. Let me begin with the proclamations as well. Whenever we receive a check coming to Will County, that's a good thing, but I believe, Reagan, it was in November, we went to the drug court. Well, we don't call it drug court, but problem-solving court. Was it no? And I went to all three of them in November, and I saw the wonderful work that they do behind the scenes, so I know how much that money is needed as well as appreciated, so certainly want to thank the Elks Club for that. And then all these young ladies that came down here this morning, not only did I see some great basketball players, but I saw some future politicians that can replace some of us. So I'm glad they're not in my district. But I saw, so I certainly want to congratulate all of those young ladies. And then I have to say goodbye to Mr. Paddock, because I think he did in a very professional way. He came to both of our caucuses this morning. He thanked us for working with him in a very professional way. And Kurt, want to congratulate you on your retirement and your next life as you further your work in the ministry, and that's just as important too. And then lastly, as already said, keep Lee Kelly in our prayer. Not only does she work for our Will County Land Use, but she's also our sheriff's wife. So we certainly want to pray for Lee Kelly and Mike Kelly's family during this time. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Next up, our board speaker, Mr. Mustis.
Well, I'd like to mention every month, thank you for all your work through the month of January. You know what? If you on our agenda, board agenda this morning, we had 12 intergovernmental agreements. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because, you know, sometimes people will say, well, exactly what's the county do? And of course, we do many things, but amongst things, we provide many of our local municipalities, fire departments, police departments, whether it's a radio system, so there's interoperability, so they can speak to each other in a crisis. I can recall, I do go back a few years, I remember the Plainfield tornado a number of years back, and one of the problems was different emergency agencies could not speak to each other because we didn't have a radio system where they could. When we provide a radio system, a countywide radio system, which we've done, it gives the opportunity for all those emergency management services to cooperate and to communicate, and that saves lives. It truly does. So it's really a public safety issue. Not only that, not only emergency, it allows our first responders to also speak to each other, which is extremely important for their safety and the safety of the public. So that's one. We had some for mobility. For those of us who represent more rural areas, where there's very little public transportation options, the county has an umbrella that helps give resources to local entities so they can do a transportation program, which primarily focuses on people with disabilities and our senior community. So here again, could this happen without the county? Maybe, but probably not, because the resources just wouldn't be there to pool for everyone. So here again, that's an extremely important function of what the county does for all our local communities, whether you live in a municipality or whether you live in a unincorporated area. Then, of course, we had the IGA with the city of Joliet. City of Joliet, you know, is the county seat, and we do, and our most of our operations are right here in downtown Joliet. And of course, it's always tough to revitalize older downtown areas. Some have been extremely successful, but most struggle to give that kickstart. And I think the commitment of the county to our county seat to say we want to help give that kickstart, and we have an agreement that I believe helps the city go forward along with the county. So here again, the county working with local entities, one of our largest cities. It is our largest city in Will County, for sure, right? So that's entirely in Will County. They're outside of Will County also. But my point is that it's the county that helps provide that first kind of kickstart to get things moving. Whether it's in a radio system, whether it's mobility, trying to get our people who have disabilities or our older people around a little bit so they're a little more independent. It's the county that helps put that together. We're kind of the glue that brings the parts together. So when people ask you, what does the county do? You can point to these. Because sometimes, that's sometimes the most asked question I get from folks. Well, what do you do? So I tell them I give the county executive a hard time. That's only kidding. Come on, Larry, smile. You know, it's supposed to be funny, you know. Come on. He's not, you know, he's not even smiling. You know, I don't see very well, but crack a smile. You know. So, anyways, everybody, thank you once again for all your hard work, and that concludes my comments, Mr. Executive. Thank you.
Very fine words. So, I too would like to offer my congratulations to Kurt for wish him well in his retirement. And he's been here 13 years and has done an extraordinary job and difficult at times, but brought a professionalism to the department that basically is well respected. And you've done a yeoman's job, Kurt, and we're going to miss you, and we wish you and Sue the best in your new ventures. But Kurt is making Will County his home. He's going to still stay here and live in Plainfield, and so that's the good news. So best of luck, Kurt. And also all of us, please keep Sheriff Kelly and Lee, his wife, in our prayers. She really needs them at this time. So anyway, seeing nothing else to become before the board, we'll stand at recess till Thursday, February 15th, 2018.